That we do these every Tuesday, every Friday. We usually have a lot lined up for you. So today we are discussing Champions League. We have the Champions League draw coming up, and of course we had results from Tuesday and Wednesday, and of course we had the Europa and Conference League that were played last evening. So that's what will kick off the show. We have other things as well. AFC Leopards, one of Noah's teams, were worked by some bunkers, and it's starting to look like a very slippery slope for them. They started going down that downside stream very fast. So we'll also be talking about them. Nairobi United and Gor Mahia. There was a decision that was made earlier on. There is a decision that is supposed to be made today by the sports disputes committee, and it's in regards to a result that a match that was abandoned and which was given as a draw, and Nairobi United went and appealed to the SDT. So again, another one of the issues that we will be discussing. But I think I want us to start with the Champions League because we had some shockers.
Oh my.
Yeah.
For me, actually, it was one of the most amazing playoff or rounds of Champions League action that I've seen in a long time, Mariah. Just every game that I saw PSG taken down to the wire by Monaco. It wasn't easy for them. You know, Juventus seemed to have had a big comeback against Galatasaray.
Actually, they were inside.
Yes. And then the last 10 minutes, Galatasaray out of nowhere with two crazy goals. Then you look at Atalanta. They were, they scored. They had been beaten properly by Borussia in the first round.
True.
Coming back very strongly, 3 goals and then a last-minute penalty taking them through. Then you look at now the biggest one. I had mentioned it. I told you about it. Norwegian teams. This season, when they look at Italians, they're like, come baby, come. Come baby, come.
You are the one.
Again, come baby. Oh my, what they did to Inter Milan, last season's finalists. Beaten by a team, they play actually within their home turf is actually within the territory of the Arctic Circle.
Yes.
This team, 8 years ago, they were nowhere.
There was no team called Bodo Glimt 8 years ago.
They just pick it up from nowhere, they just rise naturally. And then they just decide to discipline those Inter Milan boys. It was big. And then again, it's not the first time. It's not the first team that they are beating comprehensively. They have showed what they are made of.
They've beaten Manchester City
this season.
They've beaten Atletico Madrid.
Yes. I think they played Tottenham as well at some point.
They drew with Tottenham 2-2.
This is not a team to joke with. But then they have just made Champions League history. And that's what the Champions League is made of.
They're in the last 16.
You don't enter the Champions League with that story of, us, we are great, you know how many titles we've won. Our history. You're Pereka huko.
We don't recognize.
No. Sincerely, looking at all those results, it was amazing. One of the other interesting things to look at, apart from that Atalanta and their big comeback, the Italians, for the first time in a long time, in the last 16, they have only one team.
Yes.
Across both competitions, England have the most number of teams in a long time. They have 6 teams.
In fact, there's a very huge likelihood that the winners of this year's Champions League could actually come from the EPL.
Oh yeah, yes. They have done amazingly. I'm looking at teams like Nottingham Forest. At some point, also Nottingham walikuwa wamelaliwa. They were looking like they're also on their way out.
Okay. Champions League. Just looking at European action. No. I know it's European action in its entirety.
Yeah.
However, I want us to discuss this Bodo team. And the reason why I want us to discuss this Bodo team, this is a team that is off-season. Their season is off at this particular moment. They have not played competitively since November.
Yeah.
So, literally, the matches they're only playing are in the Champions League. It's only in Europe.
So is that a good thing? Other people
it's not a good thing because off season, most teams are usually off, literally.
Yes.
Because what you do is play friendlies.
Yeah.
So these guys are playing, their friendlies are very competitive matches.
They're Champions League.
In fact, I can already predict that they might be the winners of this year's their own Norwegian league.
Yeah, certainly, most certainly.
Because kama tests ni Manchester City, Atletico Madrid. Na mnanyorosha.
No. If you look at Milan, Bodo Glimt have just set an example. The last time I saw a team behaving this way, there was a team back in the day, Moriah,
Yes.
that we used to call Deportivo
La Coruña.
La Coruña.
By the way, unajua siku hizi wako League 2.
Yes.
La Liga 2 chini.
They came, they made a statement, and then they left.
But that team was a very serious team.
You know, that team, I remember they faced one of my team, AC Milan. And those days, Milan was a serious team. We had the likes of Kina Clarence Seedorf. We had people Inzaghi, Shevchenko. You know, those days, Milan was, heads and shoulders above most teams in Europe.
True.
So we faced this team. We hammered them in Spain by 4-1. And then we went back to that San Siro where Inter Milan were just disciplined. And we were looking at this like, those games that you just breeze through. We had beaten them 4-1. In
what happened? I want you to. You keep on saying we had. What happened?
First half. First half. No, first half. It's done.
Imeisha.
Second half ni possession.
And Depo, by the way, used to play very good football.
No, they were not a small team. You're looking at Diego Tristan, Juan Carlos Valeron.
Yes, and Valeron was a very good player then.
They also had a big team. So anyway, I'm just looking at the Champions League in nature. And then there's something about the Champions League when it's a World Cup season. Something else comes up.
Yes.
You're looking at this team, and then it always has an effect on the World Cup finals. I'll give you an example. 2002 World Cup. This is a tournament where Germany were voted by the local fans, the German fans, said this is the weakest team ever to send to the World Cup finals. But that team had out of its players 6 members of a team called Bayer Leverkusen.
Bayer Leverkusen, yes.
Bayer Leverkusen.
And Bayer were in the finals.
They went to the finals of that Champions League, beaten
they
by
lost Real Madrid
2-1 to Real Madrid.
And a wonder goal by Zinedine Zidane.
Exactly.
I remember that volley very well.
Very well. Beautiful goal.
Yeah.
So anyway, this Leverkusen team just rallies out of nowhere.
Yes.
They actually were on a run to win the treble. They lost the German league just in the very, very last week. They lost the German Cup in the final, and they lost the Champions League in the final. But that particular team went all the way. They had 6 in the first 11 of Germany, and they went all the way to become losing finalists. That's an example of how a Champions League season goes ahead and impacts the World Cup ahead.
True.
So I'm looking at this particular team, and I'm looking at Norway. I'm looking at, yes, they have Haaland, but looking at those players around that Bodo team is exactly the kind of support that Haaland requires.
And a majority of them are homegrown, eh?
Exactly.
Bodo Glimt, if you look at their history, how they were formed, and like you rightfully put it, they were formed 8 years ago, and they started from the basics. They started from teams You start looking around. First of all, the first people you look at are the people around you.
Yeah.
So they started looking for players around that area, So those are the players. Even now, as much as they have imports in the team at this particular moment, the core of the team are all homegrown. And that actually says a lot about this team. And you're right. Norway is a team that we need to look out for in this year's World Cup. And they're not a team that is there by chance. They kicked out Italy. Then Italy wameenda huko
bado hatuja qualify by this
kuna hiyo playoffs ya match iko next month by the way.
Sisi na Caledonia
na
Jamaica
na DRC
bado tuna chill tunatafuta njia ya kuingia World Cup.
Na unajua by then na DRC ikiwanyorosha.
No, we are not in that particular leg because Caledonia and Jamaica,
Europe,
the winner of Jamaica and Caledonia will play the DRC,
yes,
of which what I'm supporting on that game.
Oh, of course DRC.
Then
we have to support our own.
Then but these guys are playing now in the European qualifiers.
Yes.
So out of Europe, I think there are about 3 more teams expected to qualify. Italy hopes to be one of those teams.
Exactly.
So Italy being put in that spot, it's not there is courtesy of none other than Norway.
Yes.
So it's a season not to ignore. In fact, some of the questions, we're 104 days away from that World Cup finals. And it's a very interesting start because it's 104 days away and there will be 104 matches in this World Cup, a record number. We've had 52 matches, 62 matches, 64 matches. Now there will be 104 World Cup matches. It's like a whole season or half a season.
Hey, man, very normal. Now,
half a league season. Anyway, yeah.
I need to give you an update. You are talking about Bayer Leverkusen.
Yes.
And you are talking about them very passionately.
Yes.
Guess who they've been drawn against?
Hebu tuone.
Arsenal, brother.
Bayer Leverkusen versus Arsenal. All right.
Because the draw is done.
I'm just looking at it now.
Atletico Madrid versus Tottenham. That is going to be a very, very juicy, brilliant fixture as well. Then we have Liverpool facing Galatasaray.
Wow, those are amazing ties.
Barcelona wamepoa mteremko in Newcastle United. Chelsea wamepatiwa PSG. Na hii, by the way, this is a very tough game, eh?
Yeah.
PSG versus Chelsea. How do you call it?
PSG Chelsea. What I've seen from English teams, there's something that is stating that the English league is superior, or it's doing very, very well
at this particular
That
moment.
is why you had me spilling over to talk about the Europa League.
Yes.
Because I was looking at Newcastle and how they were the biggest performers across the week.
Yes.
9 goals, amazing performance. I was looking at Aston Villa. I was looking at Nottingham Forest.
Yes.
And Nottingham Forest particularly, and Newcastle, looking at their position in the English Premier League and how they're playing in Europe, says a lot about the quality of the English Premiership this season. Looking at the top 2 teams in the Champions League,
Yes.
or the top tier of the best performing teams in the Champions League, you find Arsenal up there.
Yes.
They won the league format of the Champions League.
They were top.
Yeah.
But now, you see, Karaoke, there's something else we need to look at, with all due respect.
Yeah.
When it comes to the league format, they played brilliantly.
Yeah.
But now, there's something else we need to look at. How do Arsenal fare when it comes to proper knockouts?
Or closing the season.
Exactly.
Closing the season.
Even just the knockouts of any major competition.
Yeah.
Because if you look at how many times they've made the finals, I think they've only made the finals twice of the Champions League.
Yeah.
And they lost both
times.
finals.
Yeah, the one they claimed that was rigged, where they got a red card.
Exactly.
Jens
But
Lehmann.
it wasn't rigged.
It was a red card.
It was a red card. You know, there are certain things you cannot change.
Yeah.
There are certain facts you cannot change. Anyway, Thibaut Courtois, after their game against Benfica on Tuesday, happened to say that, we know who we will face in the next round. Do you know who he said they'll face?
Yeah.
Manchester City.
Ooh.
And the draw has been done. Guess who they are facing?
They've got Manchester City.
Manchester City.
That's an amazing tie.
We wait for you.
You asking me first of all about Chelsea.
Yes.
Chelsea versus PSG.
Yes.
I saw how PSG played against Monaco. They're not invincible. They're going to have a very hard time beating Chelsea.
True.
Chelsea can play ugly football. They can, because PSG want to play tiki-taka football.
And Rosenia has been brilliant, to be very honest.
Exactly.
Let's give him his plaudits.
PSG want to play tiki-taka, but I can see the likes, in that particular midfield area, how they're just going to be messed up and they won't be able to play that clean football that they want to play. So I give Chelsea a very, very, very big hand, or they're going to take PSG to the wire, if not win that particular game.
Game. Let's talk about Real Madrid versus Manchester City, because again, that is also not going to be an easy fixture. This is Pep Guardiola facing a team that were his rivals, one as a player and two as a coach at Barcelona. So he knows Real Madrid very well. And you also have to remember that Real Madrid are still dealing with a very young coach, a coach that has been thrust into coaching because they decided to fire Xabi Alonso. So it's his first stint, to be quite honest, after coaching the Real Madrid B side. So we're looking at a coach that is very fresh, a coach that is coming into this team trying to deal with egos, trying to deal with superstars. And we also had Vinicius Junior also scoring in that match against Benfica. And you remember very, very well the controversy, of course, before that surrounding his racism allegations just last week. And so him scoring the winning goal, because that was the winning goal that secured their qualification into the last 16, was a very big thing. And before the match, if you look at what was happening, we had very big banners that had been put up, no to racism, say no to racism, and all the fans were literally behind their own. All the Real Madrid fans were behind their own in terms of Vinicius Junior. So for him to go ahead and score the winning goal, and then he ran to the corner flag and started dancing. He did a Brazilian samba. He was enjoying it.
It was beautiful, and maybe somebody has the message has finally reached Vinicius Jr. Yes, you've made your statement, and it's a big and important statement on racism. But then I felt his performance was bigger than everything else. He was shown that the best way to respond and the best way to show who you are, what you do best is you're a football player. So what you do best, how you respond best, is by playing the most beautiful football. He led that team, and he was a champion on the field.
Exactly.
If somebody was trying to bring him down, he actually used that moment to elevate his game. So and that's what was important. More than any other sideshows, more than any press conference that he can issue, do your thing and do it well. If you're a footballer,
let your football speak on the field.
Don't do press conferences. No. Let the football
Don't
speak
go to
for
social
you.
media.
Don't do social machana na hiyo story. Wewe kama ni boxer, piga watu mangumi.
Ndio hiyo.
Kama wewe ni
footballer, funga mabao.
And I love that about Vinny Jr. And again, the Champions League again now looking like, we all get very scared. I get very scared personally when Real Madrid start performing this way in the Champions League.
And every time they start poorly.
Yes.
Every time. In fact, every season they've won the Champions League. They start very weakly.
Very poorly.
In fact, in the group matches, they usually scrap through. Literally,
Yes.
on the last days when they even make it out of the group.
In fact, since the playoffs were introduced,
Yes.
Madrid is always playing
Playoffs.
in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't qualify automatically. But I get scared when they start getting into this type of rounds. And against Manchester City, they will be very confident because the results have always been in favor of Real Madrid.
Yes.
When they face Manchester City. Manchester City is responsible for stopping Real Madrid once. Or Real Madrid is responsible for stopping Man City once in the Champions League.
But I'm
run.
sure even Pep did not want this fixture, to be quite honest.
No. At this
I
particular,
don't think he wanted this fixture.
At this particular moment in his season,
Yeah.
he would have wanted
An easier team.
an easier team,
game.
so that he can train all his guns
On the
Arsenal.
Premier League.
Yes.
And on the Premier League.
Yes, exactly.
Anyway, we have a very interesting match coming up this weekend. We will discuss EPL fixtures later. But I finally wanted to finish off with Bodo Glimt. Bodo Glimt have been given a tie against Sporting Lisbon, the Portugal.
Yeah.
And mimi sijui kwa nini naona hii ikiwa mteremko.
It
For
looks-
them, if you look at the other teams they've played against so far,
Yeah.
I don't know why. I have a very good feeling about Bodo in this particular tie. I think they will be stopped in the quarters, not in the last 16.
Not in this round, yes. But then again, they have to be very careful because we've seen teams who play very, very well when they're given a big giant to beat. When they have a proper target to hit. Now they're going to face Sporting Lisbon, and probably their psychology might something might get into their heads, telling them no. We've dealt with sisi ni level yetu, tunadiligi na kina Real, tunadiligi na kina Man City, tunadiligi na kina Inter Milan,
kina Atletico, kina
tuletee maopponent kama hao. Sasa hii Sporting Lisbon nini mnatuletea? Then they go with that attitude, waingie pale hivyo Portugal walimwe
because Lisbon.
Exactly. Because again, when you look at Sporting Lisbon, when you look at Benfica and Sporting Lisbon, we know that they are very, very good representatives of the country, and they always go deep in the tournament. So it's not going to be easy for them. If they play the same way they played against Inter Milan, no doubt they'll beat Sporting Lisbon. Lakini wasikue complacent.
Well, Dige, we've yapped for the last 20 minutes. We need to take a break. Then we will be back to conclude Europe as we delve into other matters.
The Sports Garage.